I had this interesting experience. At least it's interesting to me. Um, so I think it was Monday, right? I woke up, everything's fine, right? Everything's peaceful. Then my mind says, "Oh my God, you need to do this, you need to do that. Your room's a mess." Then my body responds and gets this feeling in it, right? Of, anxiety and blah, 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 blah. And then it gets up and it starts picking things up. But the difference between this time and other times is that I realized that the body and the mind were just doing that and that I wasn't so caught up in it.
Mm.
And I was just say, oh, like, so the body, this is what the body does, and this is what the mind does.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I still had that peaceful, the body and the mind were in the room, but
Mm.
doing their thing. But I was like, oh, it's
Mm.
just happening, and
Mm.
I wasn't
Mm.
so quote, identified with it or thinking this is how I'm going to fix my life or myself or that kind of thing. And then all these quotes I've heard over the last couple of years as I've been into this, it seems to line up with a lot of them.
Mm.
For instance, you're not the mind, you're not the body. Um,
Mm.
Somebody once said that the body mind unit is unsatisfiable, but you're not you follow what I'm saying there?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, no, it's totally true. And these are kind of like glimpses or awakening experiences where you have these feelings, these sensations, these experiences, and then there is something else that is free. So in the past, you'd have been totally attached to that idea, and then what you unconsciously thought was that if the room, or maybe you consciously thought it, but if the room is tidy, then you won't have anxiety. If you're not,
yeah,
and that can go really far. Like if I wasn't in such a mess, if I didn't let these things get on top of me, then I would be happy, or then I would be more peaceful. So there's not even a knowing of anxiety. It's just a behavior. Like there is something there is danger because the room isn't tidy, and it just is like this automatic stress and anxiety and overthinking about something, maybe no consciousness of it. Then there becomes more consciousness of it. Then there comes a point where the the who you are separates from that person to an extent, and then there is a sense of this great peace that is beyond what's happening in the world.
yeah. Uh, and what's interesting to me is that I went for, I kind of started out thinking, I can meditate my way into, um, whatever you want to call it, being a better person um, or maybe you can, but I mean, like, I can meditate myself as long as I get into this state, I'll be quote unquote enlightened. And then something would happen, and like I get a bad phone call or whatever. That's all gone,
Yeah.
but it was all like dependent on how my mind and body was.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
totally. You get the idea that enlightenment is a personal thing. Yeah. Yep.
yeah, and every day I have this problem with my neck, right? Because of the kind of work I was doing. And like my whole whether or not, I was okay or not, since I focused on it so much, depended on that
Mm.
or while that was doing,
Mm.
or whatever, you know, if I can, it seems like there's this kind of constant seeking that the mind and the body does in tandem.
Mm.
If I can just do this, then this.
Totally.
I
Yep.
can just,
Yep. And
if I
that's
could just,
all. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And it's all story. It's all stories that you're telling yourself. And so, and then there
yeah,
is a belief in that. Like if I move place, if I get a place with better energy, if I do this for my neck, if I do that for my neck, and maybe it improves the neck, but it won't improve your sense of freedom or not. And that's what's really important too. That's what you long for. It's not actually the pain in the neck to go or to be there or not be there or for circumstance to change. What you really long for is this movement back into what you are, which is this moment, or detachment from the person. Like well, they are totally identified to the person, then it's like life becomes suffering because everything is about experiencing and what happens in experiencing. If I do this, it will lead to that. If I behave like this, it will lead to that. If this happens, that will happen. But it's not about that. It's about this, what you are, which is beyond all form.
One sort of quote, you know, if you're identified with your body or whatever, if you're hungry, you only have one problem in life, and then after you eat, you get 100 more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, on it goes. Yeah. This is the truth of it, and this is so unbearable for the thinking mind, because the thinking mind thinks that it's the king and thinks that it rules the land and knows everything, and it's really not found in a narrative or a story. But the narratives and the stories become energetic, they become feelings in the body. You could say like the narrative in a way is part of the body, like this character that comes, and that character, that expression of the person is something that's happening in this as freedom, as much as the room is happening, as much as the dog is happening or the light is happening. This character is happening, and it's not who you are. It's a part of who you are as everything, but it's not who you are. The identification is, this is who I am, and I am this person. My life is my responsibility, and I have to interact with this world. And this is all narrative. It's not a narrative that animals have. And if we had a different society, we'd have different narratives. We'd most probably speak more as a collective in a different society.
Yeah, and I think it's probably pretty difficult for people to kind of create a distance between their minds and them, and to be able to see that, you know, just because your mind is thinking, you know, if I don't get this job, I'm screwed, you know, not necessarily true. That's kind of your mind trying to make its way in the world, and
yeah, I think it's kind of impossible. The mind will always be in opposites and self-serving, me and other, and that's where it has to be like this grace that's talked about, because like what happened to you the other day was a grace. There was a seeing beyond you. Like grace is such a romantic word used, but it's like there's this seeing that is beyond you, like a seeing that or this sense of peace that's beyond you. And so, because the mind will always be in, I've got it, I've lost it, I'm right, I'm wrong, I'm good and bad, because that's the way the person, the character works. The character is in opposites, the mind is in opposites. So it has to be beyond that. Nice, I'm happy to hear that happened.
Yeah, and I appreciate your feedback.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
All right, well, I'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks, Birch. Yeah, lots of love. Bye.